personally, that they wanted to know or learn automation testing. Some people have told me, asked me direct questions like, what tool should they learn, and how should they go about it? What should they do, and all of that. And all of that. Now, software testing is an exercise that we do manually, using our hands, our brains, and then we do automated test as well. Now, I'm of the opinion that there's nothing called manual testing. Testing is testing. Um, Whatever way you do it, it is still testing. So some people believe that automation engineers or automation testers should earn more because they do more, because they know more. I don't think so. Not at all. I don't actually think so at all. So I don't think that they know more than I do. They know more. Yeah, this is better. This is that one. I like this. Yeah. So they don't really know much more than I do, or than any other testers per se. They've just learned how to use a tool to do some of the things that we do. Now, there are key things in testing, and we'll still talk about this in any of our classes in the future, that I need you guys to pick on from everything you've learned. Um, you should be able to channel your thoughts as thinking, your thoughts, your decisions, and the questions you have. You should be able to channel them to hit at the same spot. So when you ask the question, not only does it make sense, it gets to the heart of what you're getting to. So I need you guys to pay attention to that. A lot of people have asked me, oh, what tool should I do and all of that. It's not particularly about the tool, it is about you. If you have a tool that does X, Y, Z, if you can't think in such a way that the tool will mirror what you want to do or what your client wants the application to do, the tool is useless. And I always tell people as well, if you take away the human, you and I, the human being from your automation framework, you don't have anything. There's nothing left. Because as of today, there's no tool that can run by itself. There is no tool, absolutely, that can run by itself. There's no automation tool that can plan testing by itself, that can strategize, that can decide the approach to use, that can do all of those things that I have to manually do physically with my team, with other stakeholders before it goes into automation. So don't get carried away too much by reliance on tools. Uh, the most important tool in software testing is you and I, the software tester. Okay, remember that. Good. So today we want to talk about test tools, and the stuff I want to tell you at the end of this class, you should be able to answer these questions. Like if these questions comes up, or if you see these questions in your certification, which is a possibility if you're going for the certification exam, you should be able to classify test tools according to their purposes. What do they do, and what was the intention of using them? According to the purpose and the test activities they support, you should be able to classify test tools based on that. You should be able to identify the benefits and the risk of test automation. You should be able to remember special consideration for the test execution and test management tools. Okay, that's one. The other side of it, effective use of tools. You should be able to identify the main principles for selecting a tool. You should be able to recall the objective for using pilot projects to introduce tools. And you should be able to identify the success factors for evaluation, implementation, deployment, and ongoing support of test tools in an organization. So those are your objectives. These are all in my notes, so don't worry too much if you don't catch any of that. Okay, so what are test tools? So the definition of test tool is out there. It could be one out of a lot of things. And I hope everyone is hearing me clearly. If you struggle to hear me, please let me know so I can adjust the settings or do something about it. I don't know, but just let me know you can hear me, okay? Or if you don't, if you can't hear me. Now, test tools are the devices, I can call them, the uh, uh, items or systems. Sometimes they are systems on their own. Sometimes they're just another program. Sometimes it's just another software, you know, that we use to support our test activities. Sometimes when you're doing the same activity over and again, you don't get more value out of it, or you're wasting precious time doing the same thing over and again when you could be doing something else. This is where a test tool comes in. You could automate those things so you don't have to physically spend time doing it. Something else can do it for you while you spend your time doing something else. Does that make sense? So, test tools can be used to support all of the testing activities. Yeah. And we have a few classes of them here in the consideration. We have test tools that are directly used in testing, in test execution. So basically, you record and you play, or you put a script into it, they run your script for you, or test tools that help you in preparing test data. You have test tools that help you to manage requirement, test cases, test procedures, script automation, test result, test data, and all of that. You have tools that are used for investigation and evaluation. There are tools that assist in testing generally. Spreadsheet. A few people here who have worked with me in the past know how much reliance I put on spreadsheet. I use spreadsheet a lot. And the reason being that I find it very easy to use. I built a tool out of it, which I use for my execution, scheduling, reporting, which are all metrics I have to provide for my bosses. Okay. So as you can see, the test tools do different things. Okay. They do different things. They are used in different ways. And we need to know what we want to do, first of all, before we actually go on. So how do we classify them? So let's look at the classification of test tools. Okay. Now, test tools can have one or more of the following purposes, or all of it. If you have a tool and you're doing automation and you are not eating any of this, you're wasting time and you're wasting money. VB based, Visual Basic based tool with spreadsheet doesn't necessarily have to be VB. It could be anything. It could be macro. It could be just formulas. It could be just Excel formulas. It could just be anything. It could just be a structure you put there. It doesn't necessarily have to be a code backed tool. But once you manage to use it in such a way that it does some things for you while you do some other things, it's an automation tool. Okay. So as I was saying, if you have a tool, um, which is not free most of the time, somehow, and you are not eating any of these objectives, you're wasting time, you're wasting money, and you're wasting resources. Okay, let's look at the first one. Automation tools should improve the efficiency of test activities. Like I said earlier, when we are doing a test like withdraw cash, withdraw cash, withdraw cash, withdraw cash, just imagine how many people do that transaction in a bank in a day. Oh, withdraw cash, withdraw cash, withdraw cash, withdraw cash, withdraw cash, withdraw cash, withdraw cash. Okay, withdrawing cash. Okay, withdrawing cash. Do I want to spend my time doing this? You know what? I'm gonna put a tool to it. So we write a simple program that just withdraw cash. You know, and the program runs it, I don't have to physically do it anymore. I've allowed something else to do that. So I go and plan another thing. That's one purpose of using automation to free up time. So some repetitive task can be done by a robot, which is what automation tools are. Improve the efficiency of test activities by supporting manual test activities throughout the test process. Excuse me, I don't believe, like I said earlier, that there's anything called manual testing. Like when you think, you can't say I'm doing manual thinking. Does that make sense? Is there anything like that? No. When a doctor sit down and they want to check you and they are taking your pulse, putting their fingers there, you can't say the doctor is doing manual checking of my pulse. What's the doctor doing? The doctor is just checking your pulse. There's nothing like manual. This is one of the few things that we've been questioning the syllabus about. Unfortunately, it's still part of the syllabus, so you're going to have to read it and understand it. But I'll give you the practical interpretation of it, so you don't get confused about manual testing and automation. Manual testing is not the opposite of automation testing, okay? Because all of the things you do manually, when it comes to automation, the actual execution of the test itself is a manual process. The only difference is it's not done by you, it's done by a robot. But the robot manually still has to go through step one, step two, step three, step four. It's manual anyway. So it has to improve the efficiency of the test. You improve the efficiency of your test by saving time on or freeing up time to do the more complex cases, while the more simple, straightforward repetitions are done by a robot. Okay? Improve the quality of test activities by allowing for more consistent testing and a higher level of defect report. Well, I okay, let's do it this way. Automation improves testing, no doubt about that. But the quality of your automation is directly proportional to the quality of your preparation. Actually, the quality of your test output is dependent on the quality of your preparation. If your preparation is robust, if it's high quality, you will get a high quality testing out of it. So this is not just about automation alone. This is about everything that has to do with testing. When you prepare your testing, the robustness of it, the quality of it will drive the quality of the test activities anyway. So I would say that applies to testing as much as it applies to testing as well. Now, there are some activities that cannot be executed physically manually. So the best way is to automate those ones. Like for example, if we want to check that how will this system behave when we have 10 million people using it? It's difficult for me to gather 10 million people in a place at the same time. So in that case, we use a virtual environment and we define 10 million user attributes, unique user attributes, and let them loose on the system. That one we can automate it because it's physically impossible for us to do it physically, manually. Okay. Increased reliability of testing. All your testing must increase or must come with increased reliability of testing. Where you have comparison tests and you have to compare A and B, and A and B is a data sheet of about 600,000 data items. There's something we call eyeballing. You can get your team to eyeball it, spread it out, share it out to people, allocate tasks to them, let everyone eyeball. You can simply put a comparison tool through it. Whichever way you do it, it must be reliable. You must have done a very reliable testing of it to ensure that what you're doing is right and you are doing it right. Exactly, Janelle. Quality of your input basically will determine what the automation codes run. Yeah. So if your test preparation is not of good quality, the execution is not going to be quality anyway, because the tool can only take the instruction you pass through, or you pass through it. It can't invent the instruction by itself. Okay, so always remember that. Now it says tools can be classified based on several criteria such as purpose, pricing, licensing model, commercial, open source, um, technology used. The bottom line is, regardless of what tool you choose, you must remember it must be affordable to you. It must do what you want it to do. Like uh, someone, was it yesterday or 2 days ago, I read something about Cucumber. The guy who developed Cucumber was saying to people that if all you want to use Cucumber for is just to do some few clicks on your browser, then don't use it, because that's not what it's developed for. And there are so many other things that you could use for that. Okay, so remember that when you come across tools, the first question is, what exactly are we trying to do? Next first question is, what does this tool do? The next first question is this the right tool that we want or that we need? Remember that. There are so many of them out there. Now, most of them are open source, some of them are paid, some of them come with licenses and all of that. I'll show you a few examples at the end of the class, so don't worry about it. Now, um, when we talk about tool support, now let's look at the various tools and what they do. Okay, we have management tools. Yeah, so the management tools will come with a high level overbearing function of the whole test process. Like you could do some requirement analysis there, you could do some script repository there, you could record defect there, you could record execution of the script. Is the entire test management. It looks into all of it. You know, it's not looking at just the defect only. It's not looking at just no. It's looking at the defect management, configuration management, requirement management, test management. The whole shebang is in there. Okay. A few example of this is ALM. Now ALM, I'm not sure how far it has come to become ALM, but it has gone through a lot. It has gone through HP. I think it's gone through HP as test director, quality center, then ALM. I think ALM is Microsoft. It's gone through the whole shop floor. It's been through a lot of different arms. But application lifecycle management tool is used widely. Some people use it for incident management. I know a few people on this call that will remember that we used it on one of our projects. Okay, you have tools that does requirement management. You have tools that just do traceability. So they're trying to marry the requirement to your test cases to see if your coverage is good. And then you have defect management tools. Defect management tools are basically tools that manages your defect. And there are so many of that. Quality Center does it. Jira does it. There's the Methodem somewhere. There's test rails. There's test project. There's so many of them. There are some open sources. They basically do the same thing. I'll show you an example of. They basically do the same thing. But in the future, on some of our classes, I'll teach you some of these tools and how to use them. Okay. Then you have configuration management tools, things that tells you what module or how modular system is being configured and all of that. Now, in any of the presentation slides, wherever you see D in a capital, it means that those are developers' tools. So when you see continuous integration tools, for example, I've used a few of them, Splunk, Jenkins with JSON. Those are developers tools, but we use those tools as tester for continuous integration. I know if you're a developer or if you're a developer, you would know that in GitHub you can push or pull your codes, merge codes, pull a branch and create a branch and all of that. It's the same thing with Jenkins. With Jenkins, we keep on testing. It's continuous testing, continuous integration. So we're testing, we're merging our codes and pulling and pushing and branching and all of that. It's the same way you guys do development. That's how we use Jenkins as well. Now, Splunk is another tool that sits on it that tells you the analytics of it. So, but if you are not vast in Java, for example, C Sharp, and I can't remember the other language I used the other time, you can't use those tools. Is it an average testing role? No. It is like 60% development, 40% testing. The testing bit is you configure, you write your test in code. Like if I want you to log in with username and password before joining this class, instead of just telling you verbally or manually, as some people will say manually, instead of just walking up to you and say, all right, next class you're going to have to sign in with the username and password, which is the straightforward thing to do, right? Instead of doing that, I would write that in code. I would simply say slash slash hash when you come to the slash hash, whatever, colon, semicolon, whatever, HTTP, whatever, put all the codes there, and then say you have to use username and password, and then auto generate some funny UUIDs for you to log in with, which, if you ask me, is a bit complicated. But yeah, we have complicated testing that we have to use complicated tools for. And Jenkins, Splunk, and all of those continuous integration testing, even though they are developers tools, we use them for testing as well. Okay, and then we look for tools that support test design and implementation. Okay, so there are some tools that you can deploy towards creating your test, designing your test or test cases. Okay, or your test procedures or your test data. Okay, like I remember when I was using Quality Center years ago, I write my script out in Microsoft Word or Excel, but I can bulk load 50, 60 script into Quality Center at once. I can put all of the requirements there. I can put a lot of documents there as well. So I can use it to design my test. I can use it to do a lot of things. So that comes to mind. Such tools, we have test design tools, uh, model-based testing tools. You have acceptance test-driven development, which is not entirely testing from my perspective, but it's a type of testing, you know. And test-driven development is a developer's tool as well. You see, it's got the D there. Some of the tool uh, may do more than one of these. Okay, always remember that some of the tools may do more than one, but each tool kind of do a specific thing. So when you are getting a tool, for example, that if we are getting Quick Test Pro, for example, if I'm going to the market and I'm going to go get Quick Test Professional, I know for a fact that I'm not trying to do a functional test. What I'm trying to do is performance test. Okay, because I know for a fact that Quick Test Professional runs performance testing alone. It doesn't do much more of functional. No, it's not a functional test. Okay, always remember that. Excuse me. Oh, this one is still there. Sorry. Yeah, this one is my eyes. Right, this is better. So remember that, and you need to choose the right tool for what you want to do. Otherwise, you're going to waste time. You're going to waste money. You piss off your bosses if you have any bosses. Well, that's not what you want to do. You want to make sure that whatever tool you get fits what you're trying to do. Okay. Then we look at support tool that support execution and logging. Now, those ones are very common. tools that support execution, and I can show you one if I just share my screen with you. Uh, um, bear with me one sec. I think it's this one. Yeah, this one. I found it. Let me start. Yeah, this one. So share. Can you guys see my screen? Now, this one here is just a tool that can do record and play. It's a test tool. It does a lot of different things, as you can see. It does a lot of different things, as you can see. I've run a few tests there. Um, but if I click on add a new project now and say test class, description, web testing, create. Now, in this tool, I don't do any coding. It's code free. See, it's created that test class, created test, web, next. Let me just say web testing class. Test description, I'll just copy this and paste it. Say this is the test description. Web application, I say my test. Okay, so I've just set finish. I say finish. So, oh, I need to start the agent. Sorry. So this is all part of the things that you have to do uh, because it's part of the setup. So if you don't do them, they won't work. Now you're going to have a failure that has nothing to do with your test. Okay, it's nothing to do with the test you're trying to do. It's just your configuration is wrong, or something has not been started, or the server has not been recycled, or something like that. Okay, so if I say I want to record, so I want to start testing now, it's going to take me to this and say okay. So um so here, as you can see, I can physically say what website do I want it to go to, and all of that, right? Or I can just say here, record me. Okay. Oh, this is only going to work on Google Chrome. You see, another bottleneck there. So if I go to Chrome, for example, and I do um, test project, uh, test project, yeah. If I go to uh, Google Chrome and all of that, I have to set it up. But as you can see already, I've gone into three, four different things that has nothing to do with the test that I wanted to do. It doesn't work in Edge. It only works with Safari or Firefox or Chrome. Now, is that part of the testing I wanted to do? No, but I need to take that into consideration. Okay, so it only works in Chrome. Yeah, I'll do it in Chrome. And then, oh, you don't have permission to run it on the device you're using because you are not an admin. That's not part of the, so you spend much more time figuring out variables that has nothing to do with the test that you're trying to do. But I would still log into that and I will show you. I want us to record the test and so I can show you how it works. Okay. But those are the kind of tools. I've got another one there. If I do share, let me see, where's my Jira gun? I have a Jira bot there. So if I do application window, Jira share. If you can all see my screen here, this is what Jira board looks like. This is my Jira board, and I've created a project there. Now, in the project, I have so many different things there. It depends on what I want to do. Okay, I could look at issues, I could look at releases, I could look at pages, I could look at all sorts of things. issues. I could set up my page. I could do a lot of things here. I could manage the defect from here. I could do anything. Okay, I could basically do anything. So these are all tools that we use in testing. But this one is a management tool. Like Jira is a management tool because I can define sprint length, I can define team members, I can define what constitutes a defect, I can define the sort of defect, and all those kind of things. Okay. Some tools for execution and logging just record whatever activity you're doing. I think I've mentioned to you guys before a tool called OpenScript. I'll type it out for you. Go and look for it. It's free on its own. It's free, but it's part of Oracle Application Testing Suite. And Oracle Application Testing Suite license is huge. It's hugely expensive. It's not free. But this one you can play with. It's part of it, but it's free. This one you can download on its own. And then you have things like test execution tools to run regression testing, coverage tools, requirement coverage, comparison code coverage, and those are developers tools, test analysis, unit test framework tools. Those are developers stuff. And then we have tools that support static testing. Remember we did static testing recently. Static testing is just testing without testing. It's basically looking at stuff without functionality testing. You could use your spreadsheet comes handy for that. You could use a spreadsheet to look at your coverage, how many of the requirements you've scripted for. You can write a formula out in a Excel script to tell you how many times instances of the test cases have been tested. Those are tools you can use. Then you have some static analytic tools which the developer uses as well. So we share the same space on these tools with developers on most of the tools. We share the same space with most with developers most of the time. And then we have performance testing tools, tools that enhance performance testing, like I mentioned to you, QTP, Quick Test Professional. It's absolutely a performance test tool. We have a load stress test tool as well. Now we have penetration testing. We have ethical hacking, penetration testing, security testing. All of those things come with their own bespoke tool. Like if you want to do a test as a penetration tester, first of all, you need to be able to hide yourself. And that comes with you going through VPN, this VPN, that, all sort of firewalls. And so to be able to take down firewalls or erect firewall is a skill. And that comes with its own set of tools as well. So all of the testing we do have their own bespoke tools. Just remember, and I can't emphasize this enough, if you want to do a particular test and you've decided and agreed to automate some of it, the tool you select must be fit for the job. If you're trying to reconfigure, adapt, and do all of that, you would waste money, time, resources, and you would piss off a lot of people. I can guarantee you that. Okay. And then we have some other testing that comes with their own tools, like usability, accessibility testing, localization testing, like I mentioned, security testing, portability. Like if you like, I've just done one now. Like I'm trying to test something, but the tool only works on Chrome. Like this webinar tool I'm using does not work properly in Microsoft Edge. Now, I don't know if any of you do analytics. If you ever see an analytics for a website traffic, like I get that week in, week out after the class, they tell me where you connected from, they tell me the browser you use and all of that. Now, any of you that uses Microsoft Edge, it says unknown. That's because most of these tools don't track Microsoft Edge users. They can't compile, they can't interpret it. Sometimes some of them don't even know that you're there. If you're using Edge, some of them simply don't know that you're there. Some of them cannot interpret what browser you're using. So it says unknown. Now, at the beginning, That used to scare me a lot. Oh, are people using Tor? Or are people using some other browsers that I don't know? Oh, what sort of browser are people using? What info is leaking from my PC and all of that? Until I checked my own website's traffic and I realized myself, my my website could not record my traffic that was there at all because I was using Microsoft Edge. And then I did a little bit more research and found out actually that's unique with Microsoft Edge. A lot of these tools can track it. So those are the variables. Those are some of the things you have to think about when you're going for a tool. Would it work? Like most offices here, until 2, 3 years ago, we're all using Windows 7 or Windows XP. I remember as of 2015, I was still working on Windows XP. Now, a lot of the tools don't work. And then we have Internet Explorer 16, Internet Explorer 15, or something like that. And that threw out a lot of applications. Now, to test those applications, first of all, we need to test the tool. That's not part of the testing, but that's an additional task. Because if the tool would not work in that environment, it's useless. I've just tried to show you something, and I couldn't. Why? Because the tool doesn't work on that browser. I think yeah, Stephen said you're hacking into my system exactly. Hack into it, that would make me a proud man. I must have taught you a lot to hack into my system. So go for it. Do it. Send a report to me later. So you need to remember that all of these things work. Some people find that they want to do this, but I think for me, testing is basically an activity that comes with critical thinking, deep thinking, for me to think about what my client wants and for me to think about the best way to provide that or provide solution to their problems. Okay. So the benefit and risk of test automation. So let's talk about some potential benefit and potential risk. Now, look at it this way. None of the things we're talking about comes free or cheap. So we're going to spend a lot of money. Not only money to buy, but we're going to spend time to train people to use it. Now, investing money and time to buy a product that's useless definitely will piss off a lot of people. That will piss me off. If I have to sign it off and go, all right, go and buy the tool and make sure you guys are able to use it, and you turn around 2 weeks later and say, Ade, that tool, we got the wrong one. For the fear of God and the fear of going to prison, that might only be the reason I didn't punch you in the face. Because you will have wasted my time and money. So we need to look at the benefit. Let's look at the benefit. Reduction in repetitive manual work. Like I said to you, we draw 200 naira, we draw 200 naira, we draw 200 naira. Do we really want to dedicate someone to doing that? Like in Nigeria, when I go to Lagos, and I go to all of these offices that has lift, there's usually a guy sat in the lift. All he does is push buttons in the lift. Which floor are you going? Floor 14. He pushes 14. Which floor are you going? Floor 12. He pushes. That's all he does. And I sit down there thinking, hang on a minute. This is definitely not the best way to utilize his time. Yes, Wayne. Sean, yes, Wayne. Nigerians on this forum, please tell me I'm not lying. Because someone is already arguing that's not true. I've seen it myself. Yeah. Someone sits down in the lift and that's all he does. He pushes button. He asks you, what floor are you going? You say floor 7, please. He pushes 7. When you get to 7, the lift so you go out, then he pushes up or down. I've seen it myself. It's unbelievable. That's an example of how not to spend your employer's money. Yes. You see, some people do that in Lagos. I've seen it myself. I have seen it myself. So that is a waste of time. That is something that the lift comes. The lift come with that functionality. You don't. The lift can actually once you push the button, the door opens. You go into the lift. You can tell the lift which floor you're going to. You don't need anyone to do that for you. That's the best example of you buying a tool that you don't need. Yeah, Obina, thank you. Even with just 5 floors. I remember when my brother works at what's this place called now? WAPCO. It's now Lafarge or something in Ikeja, beside ShopRite. I think the building has 8 floors. The eighth floor is the executive floor. That's where all the directors are. Usually that's where I go. Every time I go to that building, there's someone by the lift that asks me, which floor are you going? I say, eighth floor. And he pushes 8. I've got 2 hands. Why can't I push 8 myself? I'll give you another example. Over here, when we go to when we're driving, for example, on M6, yeah. No, Faisal, you are beginning to make excuses for them. It's ignorance. The same way the guy pushing the button will push it is the same way you and I will push it. So don't make excuses for them. Um, when you go on M6, for example, in this country, the toll gate is automated. You literally pay by card. There's no one there. Years ago, there are people there, but we've automated it, right? Now, a lot of that is happening. So you don't need someone to sit down there and physically take money from you. When I traveled from Lagos Airport up until a year or 2 years ago, there are people who physically look into my bag at the airport. They go through your bag, they open your bag. Now look at it this way. What if I'm carrying something poisonous? What if I'm out to get all of you at the airport? Like, okay, you guys have been collecting my money today. I'm going to kill all of you. So I put some nerve agent in my bag that as soon as you open the bag, everyone gets it. So people don't think about that. Now, they've automated. Now the machine does it. You see? So those are potential benefits of automation. It makes things quicker. It reduces the process workflows. Okay, it creates more consistency. It's not like someone gets a different response and this one gets a different response. I get there and I give you 200 naira and you don't have change, and you and I get into a scuffle because I gave you 200 naira and you don't have change, and the guy behind me get there and give you 50 naira, he doesn't need change. So when I'm complaining that you are rubbish at the job, he says you are very good at the job, because we had 2 different experiences. But automation it standardizes it for you. Everybody gets the same response. The process is quicker. Things are quicker. It gives access to information. It gives you more objective assessment, and you can measure things quickly. You can measure things effectively as well. Those are the benefits, right? Let's look at the potential risk of it. Okay. Now, I was talking about first of all the environment, the tool itself. What if the tool is faulty? I don't know how many of you follow news lately about coronavirus. There's this thing they call false positive, that they do the test like 10 times and they get the same result, but the result is wrong. Apparently, some of the test kits are faulty. Now, the person they are testing is the same person. Okay, the person hasn't changed; it's still the same person, but the tool they're using has problems. So the result is not reliable. Not because when they put needle into the person's body, they couldn't get blood. They got blood. It's not ink. They got blood. They got everything they needed from the patient, but the tool gives wrong results, tests the wrong thing, takes time sometimes. The report sometimes is too difficult to read. Like, I've done some automation testing, and when I get the report back, it's a different testing on its own, because it's pages and pages and pages and pages of binary or some difficult, boring numbers and text to read. And I still have to read. Okay, I still have to read it. So we need to be mindful of that. There are benefits to it. At the same time, there are risks to it. Like I've just shown you one today. It doesn't work with Chrome, with Edge. So that means if in this organization the only browser we accepted is Edge, you can't use that tool. And I've already bought it. This webinar tool, click meeting, I was told, oh, it works better in Chrome. So I asked the lady, does that mean it doesn't work well in Edge? And she went, yes. What if I don't have Chrome? What if Chrome wakes up tomorrow? Think about this for 1 minute. In one sentence, tell me how you would personally feel if this happened tomorrow. If Google wakes up tomorrow and decide to monetize Google Chrome, what would happen to you? If you wake up tomorrow and you have to pay to use Google Chrome, or you have to pay to use any of the standard browsers, Edge, Chrome, Safari, Firefox, all of that, what would happen to you? In one sentence, tell me. Let's make it interactive. Type it out in one sentence. If you have to pay for the browser tomorrow, how would you feel personally about it in one sentence? Obina said devastated. Thank you, Obina. That's a very good, strong response. Because come to think of it, it's free. You're not actually paying for it. But you will be devastated. Obina said, come on, people, get on it. It's just 15 of us here. Hurry up. It's just one sentence. I'm not asking for epistles. Just one sentence, please. Well, I'm saying, wait. Don't rush me. Don't rush me. I'm going to read it. Someone said, Obina said devastated. Someone said disaster. Who's that? Remy said that would be a disaster. Pfizer said, I'll go broke in a few days. Francis said, I'll feel bad. Sheol said, disorganized. Roger said, pissed. Stephen said, oh, Stephen, you are not listening. You see, that's how you know. That's how you know professional testers that always find a way around things. I said, even if Firefox is not free, all of them, none of them is free. If none of them is free, boo, you failed the test. I got you. Jalili said, distressed. Austin wrote out that it will be hard to take through since I've been accustomed to. Exactly, you are used to it. Very, very good point. It's not the fact that you need to pay or not. As a matter of fact, if Google gives us another browser today that is free, we will still complain. Why? Because we are used to it. Thank you, Austin. I like that thinking. Not a lot of people are thinking about that. Yeah. Sean said you let your work pay for it. Yeah. What about those of us that don't have work that pay for it? Anyway, you see, from that, you can see that it's going to be an inconvenience to all of us. Remember, I don't know how many of you know this time, but I will tell you there was some moons ago where laptops don't have mouse, where you have to use F2, F9, F3 to navigate. You have to use Control D, Control J, Control everything to navigate. I don't think any of you will be looking forward to using a laptop back then. There's this program called Lotus. That's the first software I use on the laptop. Lotus, I have to F2, F7, F12, control whatever. There's no mouse. And the screen is not Windows. Thank goodness Microsoft came by and gave us Windows. Yay, happy days. All of a sudden we had mouse. All of a sudden, everybody could use a laptop. All of a sudden, laptop becomes devices that you can buy and take home, devices that you can use wherever, anywhere. We need to remember how far we've come with these tools, because tools should make things easier, but at the same time, it comes with risk, especially the tools that are openly available, open source. Um, some of you that are developers among you, or all of you should be accustomed to what I'm about to say. There is something called SDK. Please Google it after the class. SDK is it's a kind of a plugin where instead of getting people to create that data set on your application or your website, they've already created it somewhere else. So you let them use the one they created somewhere else, okay, on your website. For example, when you see some website and you want to register, they say, oh, register with Gmail, register with Facebook. Now, you see, register with LinkedIn, register with Facebook, register with Gmail and stuff. That's the SDK bit. Now, that is done on the assumption that that SDK will continue to function the way you want it to function. Meanwhile, there's no guarantee. Facebook made a change recently. I can't remember what change it was. I was talking to someone about it on Tuesday, and it threw out a lot of things that were working before on different applications. All of a sudden, I did an upgrade on my phone, and there's this game I play on my phone. All of a sudden, when they do advertisements, it goes out of window. Now, the whole thing is just everywhere, and that's because I've upgraded to iOS latest version. So we need to remember that tools are mostly mechanical. It comes with its own risk. It costs time. Take cost is expensive. Effort, to achieve a functional automation framework. It takes a lot of skill set. As a matter of fact, you can have all the money in the whole world, and if you don't know what to do, you still don't know what to do. Okay, I'm sure you guys will have heard the story of a machine that broke down. They were looking for people to fix it, and everybody has tried. And this guy came and said, "Oh, I'll fix it. He's going to fix it for them." And he went there and just tapped something with an hammer or something, and in 2 minutes, it's done. Machine is back to life, and he charged them $1 million for it. And they were questioning him. Oh, why do we need to give you $1 million? All you've done is just tap it. And he said to them, and I quote, I don't know if it's true or not, but it's good for teaching. And he said, "Yeah, it's true. I've only just tapped something. You see the tapping bit? That one will cost you $2 because anyone could do that. But the other $998,998 is for knowing where to tap. Like, I can just give you the hammer now, you can hammer it and break it all down more because you don't know what you're doing, which is true. So the same way it has benefit is the same way it has risk. But a lot of people argue that the benefit outweigh the risk. The jury is still out on that. It depends on how you want to look at it. But using tool takes time, it takes effort, you know, it takes expertise. Like, I'm hoping some of you, or most of you, or all of you will venture into learning how to use different tools, because unfortunately for us as testers, a lot of our clients are putting more emphasis on the tools and not on the testers. That's a post I'm writing on LinkedIn. I've not published it yet, but I'll publish in a day or two, and you can read it. So the emphasis should be on testing, not on the tools. It is us testers that will go and learn those things to enhance our testing. We are not trying to be tools, or we are not trying to use testing to enhance the tool. No, we're using the tool to enhance the testing. That's how it should be. Okay. Now, let's talk about the consideration between for test execution and test management tools. Why would we need either of these tools? In what way? I put some examples here in this graphic. Okay. Um, Test execution tools, they are uh, objects that they just they run your execution for you. Some of them we call record and play. So they record what you do, and then you play it back. And while you are playing it back, remember that window I showed you earlier. While you are playing it back, you can actually fiddle with the variables. You can fiddle with the variables by changing stuff. You can change stuff out of it. You can say navigate, say uh, HTTPS, test out. So you can physically input stuff in it. So uh, this is creating a script. Okay. Uh, if that fails, what should happen? I'll define all of this, and then I'll go. and I can invert it. So I'll go, and then I can run that. And once I'm running it, I can record it. And once it's recorded, I'll see the steps here. Once I've seen the steps here, I can keep running the steps without physically doing it. If I go back, if I go back and look at one of these tests that I've done, if I look at this, I don't want that, I just want this one. If I look at this, you can see here, right? These are the tests that I did. These are my tests here. I've got 72 scripts, yeah. So I could save it, I could run this test now, and it's probably going to fail because one, this is in Microsoft Edge, so it doesn't work. Two, I've run it a while back, I think like some 17 days ago, something like that. So a lot of those variables will no longer work. So those are the things you maintain when you are running automation test. Well, we don't do any of that in manual testing. So all of these things you're seeing here, Q test, test collab, test lab, TC lab, QA complete, Zephyr, practice test, test management tools, Equal, Plutora, they're all different test tools. So test execution tools, they execute test objects. Okay, you've recorded the script, you've added the data values, you've added everything you want to add, and then you put them in your test execution script. They execute the test for you. They capture the test result for you. They document it as pass or fail. Some of them can even take screenshots if you enable it. Okay. Now, on the other hand, you have test management tools. Now, test management tool is a different kettle of fish. Test management tool does so many things. It manages the entire test process, not just the execution. Execution is just one aspect of it. But the management tools does the requirement analysis. It looks at the requirement, it looks at coverage, it looks at the matrix, traceability, it looks at the execution, it looks at the output, it looks at defect management, all of that. And this is an example of it that I was showing you earlier. This is an example of it here. Opening browser, window. So if you look here, if I go back to project, if I go back to project here, if I create a new project, I could do and say, I want to create any type of these projects. So if I want to create a classic project, for example, let's say software test class, STC, I don't want to share something, and it's a Kanban board I want to use for it. So I've just created one project now. Now that's the beginning. Once that project is created, you're going to see it on the board, and then there I can start defining what I want to do. How many people do I have on my project? What do they do? You see, the task I want to do, and all of that. I can create an issue. I can create a task, create a different board, do the settings of the board. All of this I would have to do as a test manager because these are what I do. But you can see here things that is marked as backlog, selected for development, in progress, done. Once you start creating the task, it moves through. It moves from A to B to C to D. And then this is management. This is not actually testing. So when they've done the test and they found an issue, they create an issue. Now, when I'm creating the issue in Jira, when I'm creating a ticket, we call it, I have different type of tickets that we create. It could be a task, a story, an epic, or a bug. The bug is a different issue. You all know that by now. Then I have to fill in all of this form to create it and then assign it to someone and all of that. Well, I'll teach you Jira per se and some other tools um, um, in subsequent classes. So the test management tool interfaces with a lot of other different tools. Okay, remember that it doesn't just do one thing. It involves a lot, a lot, a lot. It does a lot. Okay, so always remember that. Meanwhile, the execution tool just does all it does is execution. That's all it just does, execution. Now, let's talk about the effective use of tools. What are the main principles for selecting particular tools? And I've been going on about this all day. The tool must be fit for purpose. It's not cheap. The open source, whether open source or paid license, none of that. It takes time. There's one I can share with you. There's one that's called Test Rails, I think it's called. I need to find it. Use this. Right. If I just go to Test Rails, this is for this one here. Where is it? Yeah. So this is an example, and I can download it, but you can see straight away it says Introduction to Testing, and all of a sudden I'm looking at codes here. So these are things that I have to learn, right? I have to learn it. I know a lot of you have heard about Selenium. Selenium is uh, Selenium is an enhancement to driver. It's used for automation testing, but you know, it's an enhancement to your browser because usually it's used for web testing. Okay. It's difficult to use your Selenium to run your desktop application. So you see, this is another tool. Now, all of these things you have to learn. It costs money. Imagine learning it because you think you're going to need it, or because you think the project will need it, only for you to finish, spend all your money, spend a lot of money on it, spend a lot of time on it, make yourself look stupid to a lot of people, asking all the stupid questions possible, you know, and then turn around to say, oh, actually, you don't need that. You're going to use this question. I'm sure you will not be happy about that. Neither would I. So, principle, how do we go about selecting which tool we actually need? We need to assess the maturity of the organization, the strengths and weaknesses. What sort of skill set do they have? There are places I've been where I've done projects that they don't have any technical skills in-house. And there are places I've been where they have a lot of technical skills in-house. So it depends on what they can handle, what they can use. Would we be able to train them to use it? Is there anyone within the organization that can be an early adopter of it, that can encourage others to use it, that can motivate others to use it, to try and use it? We need to identify the opportunities that would improve test process. The thing is, or the problem is, most organizations don't even have a defined test process. They don't even know what test process means. You see, it goes way back. But everybody wants to do automation. Oh, automation this or automation that. Hang on a minute. How do you intend to do it? So when you are selecting your tool, you need to be mindful of this: identification of internal requirements for coaching and mentoring, evaluation of the vendor, who developed it. Is it an open source? Is it paid? What's the history of the company that developed it? For example, I don't know if any of you remember some banks in Nigeria, Savannah Bank, Societe General Bank. These banks no longer exist. A lot of people lost money to those banks. So we want to look at the vendor. What's their antecedents? What's their history? Are they reliable? Are they the sort of people that will still be there in 5 years' time? Like most of the big corporations that churn out test tools, they are there. They will always be there. Like Microsoft has its own. It's called Microsoft Test Manager. Um, they have their own test tool. Um, Oracle has their own test tool. IBM Rational. IBM has their own test tool. That's a very, very good one to use as well to learn. I don't know how to do the licensing now. I use it way back. So a lot of the big corporations have it. HP has theirs and all of that. But when you have, say for example, Zephyr, which is a plugin into Jira, Jira itself is just becoming big, and then you have some other ones. And then you want to buy those things because they are cheaper. And then you think, what if we spend £60,000 on it, and in 2 years' time there's no support for it because the company has gone bust? So all of these things you need to think about it. Now, after you've done your tool selection, after you found the right tool or the one you think is the right tool for you, after you think, okay, we've got the tool now, we're going to train everybody, or after you've trained everybody, you need to find a way to introduce the tool to the team. Find a project to use it for. Do it. Do a simple project that everybody can be involved in. Not go and look for the most complex project you have, thinking, yes, we now have automation. Which no one in the organization have used. No, you don't have automation yet. What you have is automation tool. You have automation capability. That is different from having automation. No, you don't. What you have the capability, but you don't have the actual automation because no one in the organization could use the tool. Not yet. No one's been trained to use it. No one knows how to use it. The vendor hasn't been around to show you how to even configure it. I'll tell you something, and this happened to me and a few other people like 6, 7 years ago. When Oracle application testing, when I was introduced to OATS, I found out in the UK only about 4 people knows how to install and configure it to work, to make it work. And I was like, okay, I'm going to learn it. So I bought a few laptops and I started fiddling with it. I managed to do it. I managed to install it. It worked on my laptop. And then I managed to make it work across like 4 different laptops connected to different Wi-Fi, but I could access all of it. And when I started talking to professionals like myself, some of them haven't heard about it. Some of them don't know about it. Some of them knew about it, but they couldn't make it work. Now that thing is very expensive. The training itself is about £8,000. To train them, to train for the whole module. Yeah, I think it's becoming cheaper now, but it's still in the thousands of pounds. Okay, now imagine spending that amount of money and you can't make it work, or you can't use it, or there's no one else. Nah, nah, nah. Okay, so you find a project, you do a simple, straightforward project to ease everybody into it. So people will gain knowledge about the tool, understanding the strength and weakness of the tool. They can evaluate how the tool works or how it fits with the existing processes, how they do their job. They can decide to start defining standard and conventions to use, how to manage and store script and maintain the tool, who does what. They can do all of that with a project. So everybody gets become a stakeholder into it. Okay, so that's why you need to use pilot projects. When you've decided on the tool, you find a project, a simple project, but you make sure you involve everyone. You involve everybody to come and use the project and come and use the tool with you, so you know that okay, this is where you are and this is where you're doing. Okay, and once you've done that, then you start measuring what the tool is giving you in terms of output. So usually your regression test suite will take you 2 months to run, but since we've got this tool, it takes us 4 days. That's a measurable metric. You can take that to the bank anytime. Oh, we've now changed, or we've now managed to constrict or reduce the length of time we're using running our regression test script from 2 months to 4 days. That's cool. Um, Now all of our testers are they are using the tool to define this and use, so you can begin to measure stuff, right? You can begin to teach other people how to use the tool. Yeah, you can open the tool more to, you can open up the tool to more people because people will use it differently. So the developers in your organization might decide to start doing some bits with it. Your testers might start doing some bits with it. Managers and the senior managers, program managers, the people who do documentation, your business analysts might decide to start putting their documentation into it and all of that. Okay. And then you need to start improving on your processes if you have any, or you start defining new processes. So your tool is not only just, oh, I need a tool to do this because I don't want to do it yet. That tool will do it. No, your tool becomes your Wikipedia in your organization. It becomes the repository for test cases and scripts. And, you can find information from it. You can look up defects from it. You can look up X, Y, Z. You can do a lot of things from it. Those are the things you want to. That's how you use your tool effectively. You need to monitor the tool, the use of it as well, so you can assess the benefit. XYZ is the reason we bought this tool. 6 months down the line, are we achieving XYZ? Or the vendor said that they could train 15 people in 2 weeks. 6 months down the line, they've only trained 2 people. Now, is that having an impact on how much testing we could do? Could be. Because if we bought it with 15 licenses and 6 months later we're still using 2 licenses, we're not doing very well. Okay, so those are the things you measure. Now, all of this here are tools that exist in the market as well. Um, we have different tools for different testing for different, industries as well. Like all of the Oracle Cloud applications, you can test them easily in OATS. You can test a lot using Quality Center, ALM. You can test a lot with Zephyr in Jira, test projects like I've shown you, test rail, Ruby on Rails, Selenium. Selenium is widely, as a matter of fact, if you're thinking of becoming a test engineer or if you want to venture into any automation, my first thing is go and learn Selenium WebDriver. Go and learn how to use Selenium. I'll teach you some Selenium. I'll find some professional Selenium users to come and take a class as well, to teach you over an hour and a half. I'll maybe basics of it or fundamentals of it and all that. I'll find someone to come and teach you that. But those things are really important. Now, remember, learning to use a tool should not be replacing you being a tester. The tool is there to enhance your testing capabilities, your testing skills. The tool is not the skill. The skill is in you being able to plan, execute, report your test. The tools only give you capability to do more. So don't think that, oh yeah, I know how to use Selenium. I'm a software tester. You're not. No, you're not, sir. Man. No, you're not. What you know is you know how to use a tool. Now, if you learn how to use HP or Quality Center or Quick Test Pro, yeah, that doesn't make you a software tester. What that makes you is someone who could use Quick Test Pro to do testing. What I look for in tester is way more than which tool you could use. I want to see your thinking level. I want to see if you are faced with a difficult scenario, how do you break it down? How do you break it to test condition and test cases? And how do you break it down? The tool is not going to do that for you. So if you have 20 test cases, you could use your thinking to convert them to automation script. I get that bit. But before you get to changing it to automation script, you need to think about what you're going to do. And the tool is not going to do that for you. Okay? So things to take away from this class. Remember, first of all, the tool is not a replacement for you. The test tool is something you use to enhance your testing. It does not make you a tester. Knowing how to use any test tool does not make you a software tester. Okay? Knowing how to test, knowing how to plan test, how to execute test, how to report test, how to explore applications, how to find information from application, how to probe an application, how to look for defects, to resolve and maintain. All of those is what makes you a software tester. If you know how to use a Selenium WebDriver or IDE, HP Point Center, Quick Test Pro, XYZ, Test this, Test that, if you know how to use those things, I'm sorry, That doesn't make you a software tester. What that makes you is someone who can learn how to use a tool. Because fundamentally, you need to be able to do testing before you can convert thought into automation. You need to be able to do something before you can ask someone else, in this case, a robot, to do it. Like if we have a regression test suite and it has 20 scripts in it, you need to be able to run them yourself. Now, getting an understanding of how those scripts works will feed into how you instruct your robot, your assistant, your tool to do it for you. Okay? Anyone has any question? If you have a question, type your question quickly. Meanwhile, I'll be rounding up now. But if you have a question, just type it out. I'll respond to it. Now, this is the last class in the foundation course. I think this is the 6th class. So we've covered the entire foundation syllabus, and as you can see, it's not difficult at all. Now, during the course of the classes, two people have won. Um, their foundation certification exam, which will be paid for. Okay. Today, before most of you joined, two people won a ticket to an online test conference today. So I want to tell you about this test conference. The guys are called the Test Tribe. Let me find them. Test Tribe. So I want to show you this so I can show you what's happening. And what I'm trying to do with this group and subsequent groups that will come and join us eventually. Right. So these guys here, they're called the Test Tribe. They are basically software testers in India, and they've been running this platform for like 2 years and all of that. So they have this, so they have, look at the number of testers involved, number of cities, events they've done, and all of that. Now, see this guy here, James Barr. If there's anyone in software testing you want to listen to, is him, closely followed by a guy called Michael Bolton. Now, the reason I said that is because both of them are coming to this conference. Both of them are speaking at this event. This one. Both of them are speaking at this event. Okay, so let me show you. So you see him? Now remember this. Satisfies. I'll give you his website anyway. Don't worry about it. This guy and this guy, they are like the grandfather of software testing. Okay, so I know a few of these guys. I know a few of these guys. Some of them are on my phone, like Bridgesh. Bridgesh was talking yesterday. I know the founder of this community as well. This is on my LinkedIn. Me and him talking up. But we got 9 tickets to attend this conference. It's all paid for. Okay. Now the reason I want you to go to attend this conference is because I need you to listen to people who have been doing it. Oh, Jalili says someone bragged and once asked me what tools do I know how to use. And I'm just laughing the person in my head, ordinary tool user. Exactly. Because that's all he knows how to do. The person just knows how to use the tool. The person doesn't know anything else. But anyway, so we have 9 tickets. Now, the first 2 people to join the class today have won free tickets to this conference on the 27th and 28th. And that is Sean and Famata. So I have 7 tickets left, which I'm going to give out now. Now, a few of you have attended this class without missing any class. Okay? So the first 3 people to type their name into the chat board will get free ticket. If you have attended all the class, the fact that you type your name doesn't mean it's automatic. I will still check. So I've got Shale, Francis, and Stephen. Wait, calm down. I already have 3 names. So I'm gonna go Dada, Shale, Francis, and Stephen. Okay, those are the 3 people that wrote their name first. Let me scroll back just to be sure I got it. Yeah, Stephen, Shale, and Francis. Okay, so that makes it 5 tickets. I'm still gonna have to check. If you have missed any of the class, you won't get the ticket. Okay, so I'm still gonna have to check. Um, so that's 5. I have 4 tickets left. So someone advised me, how do I share the next 4 tickets? I'm going to give 1 ticket to the admin of this group because she's been very helpful. That's Faisal. So Faisal, you are no longer in contention. Uh, how should I allocate the remaining 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6? How should I allocate the remaining 3? All of you that will get the ticket, you have to be free. You have to have data for 27 to 28th of June. They will send you the ticket and the event information. If you have any difficulty whatsoever and you can't attend, please let me know. And this is the deal. These are the terms and conditions for you. I'll put out the Twitter handle of the group. All of you should go and follow the handle on Twitter. At the same time, once you get your ticket, I need you to, yes, that's his name, James Marcus. Yeah, that's his Twitter handle. So I need you to go and follow Niger Test Crowd on Twitter. Once you get your ticket, once you get your ticket, you need to tweet that you are attending that conference as a member of Niger Test Crowd. Okay, so that's the condition for all of you. But everybody that has attended this course, I need you to go and join the class. I also need you to go and register if you haven't on, this is going to be our home from henceforth. So I need you to go and register yourself on that website. We're going to start a project hopefully next week. I know I've been saying this for so long. The reason we've not started it